Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. I've got a mini bottle of Alabama whiskey made in Florida on the bar. Let's get into it. Okay, so tonight I've got a strange one. Bam! This is a mini bottle of Clyde Mays Alabama style whiskey. So Clyde Mays is a weird brand because they have their original, this is kind of, it says original Alabama style. And this one is actually distilled and bottled in Cocoa, Florida for the company. So I don't know. They're not sourcing this one from MGP, but I think for a couple of their other expressions they do. So this is 85 proof. So right off the bat, it's a little lower proof than I tend to like to hang out in, but I saw this on the shelf. I'd never had it before, and I was like, they got a mini bottle of it. It's kind of like a try before you buy thing. And who knows, sometimes you try a new style of whiskey, you never know, you might like it. So on their website, it says, this is aged 4 years and finished with a hint of apple. I have no idea what that means. That's all it says. It says finished with a hint of apple. So I don't know if they're throwing apple chunks into the barrel at the end there or what the deal is. Kind of weird on the nose. Maybe it's power of suggestion, but you can really get the apple. That being said, the nose is a little more bold and aromatic than I would expect from an 85 proof or so. Who knows, maybe this will end up being one of those good low proof ones. Although on their website it does say basically it's good over ice but is really good in a cocktail. So when the distiller is telling you to use it in a cocktail, that probably says something about it. Yeah, you definitely get the apple, caramel, kind of a caramel apple sort of vibe. Light vanillas. There is something a little off about it, and maybe it is that apple note on the nose. Well, let's get into it on the palate. Cheers. That's definitely different. This will come as a shock to all of you that watch this channel on a regular basis, but I'd like to see this at a little bit of a higher proof, maybe near 100. Because to be honest, it's got some decent flavors to it. It's got some uniqueness to it, but I feel like the proof is really hamstringing this one. And you're gonna have that at 85 proof. I think that the nose and the palate are similar. The palate definitely has a little bit of that apple note. The caramel note, it's coming across as kind of like that watered down from the proofing down, but like a caramel and almost like white sugar sweetness. Do you remember slow pokes? I've brought this up in other reviews before. Slow pokes, they're like a caramel, kind of like a sucker or whatever. It kind of has that sort of a flavor to it, where it's like caramel, but a different kind of caramel. But it mixes nicely with the apple notes. And then, yeah, almost like a cane sugar sweetness mixed in with all of that, but it's like sugar water. The proofing down of the sweetness kind of gives it like a sugar water sort of sweetness, which is a little bit odd, but let's go in for another sip here. So in that second sip, that caramel apple note kind of brought out a little bit more of a light cinnamon. I feel like there's a ton of flavor that's really trying to come out here, but the proof is just killing it. I don't really know. This might actually be good in a cocktail. It's low proof, so whether or not it holds up to the rest of the ingredients, but I don't know. I feel like a good fall cocktail, but again, man, I wish this was at maybe 95 proof at least, because there are definitely some really interesting good flavors trying to come out of this whiskey, but the 85 proof is just not not letting them come out. That being said, it has a good amount of flavor for an 85 proofer. I just feel like the apple, that cinnamon that I kind of got on that second sip that's trying to come out, and the caramel, I think that would really come together in like a nice kind of fall whiskey sort of vibe if this just had a little bit of help from having less water in it. But it's definitely interesting. I don't know that I would go out and buy a bottle of this, but I don't know. I guess trying to figure out maybe what a good purpose for buying a bottle of this would be. I don't know how great of a gift whiskey it would make. Maybe for somebody who's new and wants something a little lower proof, but wants something that's unique and different. There's nothing that I find terribly offensive about it, other than just the kind of general flavors I tend to get out of lower proof stuff. I've kind of noticed the more I've gotten used to things that are, you know, certainly above 90, closer to 100 and above, when I go below that to like an 80 proofer, it's not just that the flavor is watered down. I think it actually starts to bring out some odd flavors. Some like, I don't know, even on an aged whiskey, like a decently aged whiskey, it almost brings out a youthy quality to me. So I don't know if that's the same experience that you guys have. Let me know in the comments if you get that too. But yeah, so it's not just the proofing down and muting of flavors, but I think it kind of causes some negative flavors to come out at that point. This one doesn't necessarily have that, but it's just a little flat. Now, I will say this, if you're gonna try this, don't expect a standard bourbon profile. This is definitely different. If I were going into this just thinking this was a regular run-of-the-mill bourbon and I didn't know about the finish with a hint of apple, I might be a little weirded out by, I'd be wondering what's going on with this whiskey, because I keep saying bourbon, it's actually just Alabama whiskey, Alabama style whiskey, so it's not a bourbon actually, and I wonder if that has something to do with the finishing with apple. So yeah, I don't know, let me know in the comments if you've had this one. If you want something unique that might make an interesting cocktail for the fall, you could maybe try this. I would maybe try this in an old fashioned. That could be interesting. But again, the proof, if you get ice that's gonna melt at all, it's just gonna kill it. And so I kind of wonder about, you know, making a cocktail out of this, but maybe I'll give it a shot. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you've had this one. This has been Clyde May's Alabama style whiskey on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.